I am with you today again, and I decided to answer one of the most popular questions that I have been receiving. A lot of people wonder about perspective of people who lived either in Russia or Ukraine that have an insider look on the situation. And a lot of people wonder how come there are so many people that are showing complete ignorance, excuse me, oops, complete ignorance toward the cruelty, the ruthlessness of this war, complete ignorance about the whole situation, people who are trying to blame Ukraine as if Ukraine deserved this, people who have been completely insensitive and rude. I'm talking about people in Russia, not, of course, all people in Russia, but there is a certain category of people that have been showing so much ignorance that is painful to watch. It's impossible to imagine. And even those people that understand what's actually going on, even those people that see the bombs, that are not necessarily cut off from the information and not necessarily victim of propaganda, why it is so hard for them to admit that this is wrong, that this should not be happening, that Ukrainian people should not pay the price for political issues. Ukrainian people definitely should not be the lamb to slaughter between uh, Russia and America and all of this. Even those people who are aware of these things, they still seem to be ignorant and reluctant to support, voice their opinion, do something to help. In this video, I'm going to try to explain you why. Oh, excuse me, as always. My skin is starting to itch at this moment, but I hope you guys understand there is nothing perfect right now. There is no perfect videos. Uh, it's really difficult to record this video, so I appreciate your patience. So, I'm gonna share with you something from the best of my knowledge. Every uh, everyone have some kind of pride for something. Let's say most people have some kind of pride. Well, Russian people are not the exception to the rule, and they also have pride. And to admit that Russian government and Russia in general supporting a leader that is so evil, uh, people call him war criminal, person with no morals or principles, um, to admit that all of this is true, it's to admit that the entire Russian culture, Russian history, the great Russians, let's talk about, Russian poets, Russian writers, Chekhov, Dostoevsky, composers, uh, sport events, famous people in sports, hockey, ballet, European football. There is gymnastics, swimming. There are so many achievement, chess. I mean, science. Back in time, aerospace engineering, first man in the space, like all of this. So people associate all the great achievements of the great Russian nation. They cannot accept this evil, because if they feel as if they accept this evil, then all of a sudden all the greatness, of Mother Russia going, down the toilet, going into a trash can, even though there is definitely a separation between people who were great leaders, philosophers, writers, once again scientists, and so on and so forth, and this evil power. But a lot of people have so much pride, they cannot imagine. So admitting this means to them admitting that their cultures, their genetics, their greatest Russians, everything is just painted in a black paint, and that they would be, everything that Russia ever done would be equal to evil. To my observation, what I have been observing in the last couple of weeks, that is one of the reasons for ignorance of the Russian people. Once again, it's a category of Russian people. We're not gonna paint everybody the same color. A lot of people in Russia are suffering as well. They disagree with this regime, and they having hard times, and they are innocent people. But there are some people who are in between and kind of supporting and being very very ignorant. And it does require strength to be able to stand up and see the difference between two, see the difference between culture, education, Olympics. Russia brought numerous extremely talented people to the world, and cultural things, and once again, the literature, the poetry, the ballet, theater, science, aerospace engineering, everything. But to understand that these are two separate things, and also somehow Russian people even some passively support the regime, that's just another side of the coin. And one should not interfere with another. That should let people think that how do we agree for evil to rule our country when that does throw incredible shade on everything we ever done. It does put us in this barbarian status in the world. It takes us out of civilization. And, with all the sanctions and all of this, in the long run, if this won't stop, Russia will be taken, seen in the world like a barbarian country. And so I really hope that people in Russia will have the strength and courage to identify, this issue, and realize that they do not paint everything in a black paint, and it does not erase or delete, the great Russians, the Russian culture, and the normal everyday people. But something needs to change so Russia would not be the carrier of evil. So they would not bring deaths, that they would not be on a train with supporting and being so hurt. If we bring it to interpersonal relationships, kind of like making a parallel, that would be like having a great life with somebody, with your spouse, and then making something that is really wrong. When your spouse makes something that is completely wrong to the point that you may consider leave the relationship, how helpful that would be if that person will try to say that, oh, it's not wrong, it's just you know you just don't see it the way I see it. It's not wrong. Kind of getting into this gaslighting mode rather than admitting their fault, understanding the issue, and do something to change, to stop and to change that behavior. You have more chances for something in future, unlike when you denying everything and then you trying to kind of like put like a pretty makeup on it, put some blush on it when it's, when there is cancer. So, pretty makeup won't help. So anyhow, I do believe that, and once again, from the an observation of an insider, someone that still grew up in both cultures, I can tell that that is a huge ego issue, huge ignorance issue, and rejection of the very idea that your culture is under a threat, and kind of this desire to support the people, even though you know that you are wrong. You know that this is wrong. You know that there is nothing that can justify the war. They can justify the war against your brothers and sisters, and you sending your sons. I just posted in my community section the picture of a woman, a woman nursing a baby, and you can see that she has injury on her head, and she's, covered with tears and scars, and she's still trying to nurse her baby. I mean, there is nothing, there is no point of denying of the daylight, but very often people are very weak. They can't see the identify and call things for what they are. So to avoid the pain, to avoid the realization of what harm and what tragedy this really is, they feel like, they're gonna stand in the greatness of Russia, in those, great things and people and cultures that represent Russia in many different ways, and turn it around and blame it on somebody else, rather than say that, you're proud of your culture, you're proud of your people, but you are not proud, and you completely disagree with the government, with this evil, and do something to stop that evil. That's what it's probably will end up happening, because only the people of Russia can take that decision, and sooner than later overthrow the power. It already happened several times, in 1917, and then in 1991. So I just wanted to share with you that there is a major issue of pride. How is that, we the great Russians gonna be thrown that shade on us, and how with one event you're gonna paint everything black. But the thing is, the event that's going on right now, a lot of people are, there were there are some survivors right now that are still alive. They're in their late mid to late 90s. They have been through World War II, through starvation of 33, through World War II 1941 to 1945, and they tell that this is the worst, that this is the worst they ever seen, and you can't really watch this without your tears just, just dripping from your eyes, without your heart breaking and bleeding. So instead of being, prideful and ignorant, I think it's so important to be accountable, and be responsible, and uh, spread that awareness that you can't cover the evil with ignorance. You can't gaslight people and countries that you're trying to do something good. And this situation is very unfortunate, because a lot of people who work very hard, a lot of people in sports, chess, figure skating is one of my favorite. I'm really not into sports, but maybe some of you could relate to. I could watch forever Russian figure skating. It's just something out of this world. All these people that have been working so hard to show a very prideful moments for the country, now all of them going to be robbed of opportunities. We can only hope that these people will realize the truth, will realize that there is no point to attend to their hurt ego, and their sense of pride, but it's important to spread awareness and show that people of Russia, that Putin does not represent people of Russia and its great country and culture, and do something about it. You know, we were talking about this the other day. If millions of people will go on the streets, nobody can arrest them, nobody can put them to jail, nobody can resist that. So, and that's also one of the reasons why so many people do support Putin in Russia. I don't know percentage. I don't know if it's half of the people. I don't know if it's 60% or 40%. It's really, really hard to say right now. But there is a significant amount of people who passionately support him and everything he does. Um, it's a really hard pill to swallow for all of us. It's really painful to see uh, that, but it's a reality. And one of the reasons for this, once again, they some of them, you know, want to believe in his greatness. They have extremely heightened sense of patriotism. I remember a little bit of that from my childhood. It's just this extremely it's hard to explain if you've never felt it. It's very hard to explain this feeling, but you know, if you are a patriot for your country, or you've been in the war, or you put your life on the line for something, you may understand that extreme, it's like an intensified feeling of extreme love for your country. And some people think that their president, that he has, yes, Adolf Putin, that's exactly true. They think that he is a strong leader, and he's basically the god for them. I don't want to go in too many details, but it's pretty much the thing that I mentioned before. They just want to believe. You know, when you are in love with somebody, how you look at them through the blue, we call it blue glasses in Ukraine, but in America they say pink glasses. You know, you look at this and you imagining things. The only time Russian people will stop imagining things in is when their loved ones will be in jail for voicing their opinions, when they won't know what happened to their sons, because there is no note what happened. They went to Ukraine and there is no information whatsoever where they could be. Some of them will start waking up at some point, but uh, and some will never wake up. Some of these patriotic people, they will believe that the Western world, the democracy is evil, that they are misunderstood, and there is nothing greater than their Adolf Putin. Seriously, they will believe in that, because if they would believe otherwise, it's erases, if I can say, their whole sense of their existence. They are they have that unhealthy patriotic, you know, that passion, that patriotism in their blood. So if they would admit that this leader is evil or negative, that is just put all of their life like it never mattered, because that's in a way a big sense of their life. I will explain it easier with this. So after, you know, the World War II, we had one of the most horrific leaders, Stalin, and a lot of people, even though he was so far the most, he did things that were the most unimaginable in history of humanity. I'm afraid his record are gonna be beat very soon, unfortunately. But a lot of people were crying. A lot of people, when he died, some people were just relieved and they had another opportunity to start their life over. But a lot of people were crying their hearts out, because when they were in the war, when they were fighting for the country, they had a purpose, they had meaning, they were fighting for him, they were fighting for their country. It's kind of like they see the leader of the country as God. I'm just saying you so you can understand. So how could you find something wrong with somebody you are worshiping, somebody you are praying for? This is the same situation. I remember even, I met a lot of World War II veterans in my childhood, and some of them, still believe in greatness of Stalin. And I remember like feeling cold in my stomach, but I also remember seeing their passion, seeing their, seeing that they risked their life, they got shot, they did everything to, it's, when you do something for the higher purpose, it goes way beyond, any belongings, any money, power. It's something such an ultimate, um they have given the ultimate sacrifice, but they also give it for something then beyond everything that eyes can see, or your or material world can offer. It's a higher purpose. It's a purpose, that purpose defines sense of their life. So how could they admit? So if they fought for evil, for example, or they represented evil, or they glorified evil, their mind, their heart, it's, I mean, the only way for them to continue, or the only way out of this would be a suicide. They could not take it. That's what I've learned. I must have been maybe about 9, 10 years old. I was always really interested in learning about World War II, because as all of our post-USSR people, we connected to World War II through our grandfathers. And both of my grandfathers were in the Red Army, and they came back alive, which is very what was really unbelievable luck. And one of my grandfathers, he was a colonel, and he was a very respect, he was he was such a person of principle. And they just don't make people like this anymore. When somebody is so pure in their intentions, in their goal, in their, somebody who is ready to sacrifice their life for their family without asking a question. This is the kind of man that, I remember my grandfather, but also, other veterans, they very true heroes. And if they could be, if they could have seen this, that would be the worst punishment for that. Because once again, in World War II, USSR, everybody were united against the Nazi. And United States helped USSR, which is Russia forgetting now. And United States was an ally to USSR in the times of World War II. Despite of communism, United States realized that they still need to help innocent people and help them to protect from the ruthless Nazi invasion. So that was important as well. When you are fighting for survival, everything helps. And that's one thing that Putin seemed to always forget, that despite of the major political differences, United States, England, and France still support not Russia but USSR back then, when the Nazi attack and the Nazi you know we had this full-blown war on completely unprepared land. So And I think at the time of World War II, Russians and Ukrainians, all of us, we had such a huge losses that this is where I think people gain that sense of pride. You know, I remember feeling some of that sense of patriotism and sense of pride. But never in a million years could we think that we could be fighting each other. So I'm very, very glad that our veterans, that most of them are dead, because to see brother uh, aiming at his brother, at his sister, at his friend, that's like the worst hell on earth. It's mind blowing. So that's it, guys. I just want to share with you that some people in Russia, they truly believe that, well, they have the information they get shows. I watched, actually by accident, I watched two small clips, from the Russian side, and they truly show how, Russians help, they save Ukrainians from Ukrainians, how they bring humanitarian help and all of that. And it's truly is devastating that they even able to put such information and somebody believes in that, but one day they won't be able to help and the truth will be known. You can't hide something from many people for a long time. You can't hide something uh, for a short time from many people. You can't hide something for long time from a few people, but you can't do both. You can't lie to millions and millions and millions of people for a long time, because the truth will come. People will see those buildings, those people, those civilians, children, hospitals, and all of that. And then they will have to admit, regardless of the sense of pride, they will have to admit the truth. It's amazing how difficult for people to admit, in a war and even in relationships between people, how difficult it seems to be for people to admit the truth. They almost feel like the crown from their head is gonna fall on the ground, which is, it's the other way around. When you admit the truth, when you admit that you were asleep, when you admit that you were misled, when your rose colored glasses are off, and you realize that by not being against this, you are quietly supporting the evil, you're supporting the mass destruction, the least you can do is to admit that you were wrong and spread awareness and try to do something to help. And it shows strength every time somebody admitting their fault, anytime somebody can look back and realize that they were wrong. It shows courage and strength. Of course, it shows the ability of the person to have analytical thinking, but it also shows the courage and strength to not just put your head in the sand and pretend you don't know. But apparently for a lot of people this is some kind of deal breaker. They feel like they're going to be less if they admit the inevitable. But I think that it is extreme cruelty to be quiet, kind of supporting, kind of in denial, because when you don't have your position, when you try to cover the evil, when you try to do these things, you really supporting the murder. You are really part of it. So I truly hope that these Russian people who are so fascinating, with the one and only, I hope that they will, well, they will have to wake up one day They will have to see their empty, banks account, and uh, not being able to work, and maybe somehow they will see the victims of this, the true victims, the actual factual information. Oh, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. Yes, Russian leader does have a lot of support, and that is unfortunate. Some people just blindly believe him, and I know that there are younger people as well, which just like hard. I understand the older generation, they are missing the Soviet Union, they are completely different than us, but when younger people support him, it's just give me blood chills, it chills my blood. It's just it truly is horrifying. But understanding those aspects of uh, mentality, of people's mentality, of Russian people always have that superiority mentality. That is true, because Ukraine is a smaller country compared to Russia, and it's weird because in Ukraine we are all mixed up. I myself have, I told you guys before, I have my mom is of the Russian descent, and I just remember being around different groups, and there is this complex of superiority is there. So I guess it's somewhat contagious. And I said in the beginning of this video, there are definitely greatness. I was always so proud of Russian culture, Russian literature, once again the art, the composers, you name it. You name it. With considering how suppressed Russia was financially, how corrupt it is, that money would never go to those people, to those artists, but they still would manage to excel. I was always so proud. I've never separated myself, or just as I'm talking as a representative of many people who live in Ukraine. Many of us never said, we all considered it to be one, at least one people, one nation. Even though we became different countries, we would always be happy, when people from Russia would get their Olympic medals, when they would be these famous chess players, and figure skating and ballet, and music, once again, you name it. But it's the ignorance of closing your eyes to evil and repeating the history after like 80 years. It just makes you question, did is how many people really do support the evil? How it's possible to happen? How is this even possible? Didn't we already move past the communism, the dictatorship? But it's ingrained in a lot of older generations, and some of the young people, they were so heavily fed the propaganda of the greatness, because Russian leader cannot give anything to Russia. He robs his own country blind. So the only people, you have to understand, when it comes to young people in Russia, the only thing they have is their pride, is their discipline, is their determination. And a lot of them are unaware. If they would see what's going on, I do not believe that those people are, some kind of psychopaths. If they would see the truth, they would have a rude awakening. But when you learn something with the mother's milk, since you're a baby, you just tend to think that this is the truth. So that's what I wanted to share with you, my dear friends, today. Just answering some of your questions and requests. Somebody said that I should make this video for Russian people. I don't have any Russian audience, and Russian people already know this. Yeah, I agree. Putin should not be compared to Hitler because he's worse than Hitler. I agree with you on that one. Um, if you are so brilliantly smart, you should open your own channel and show your bright perspective on the world. Yeah? Or you can just get the hell out of here. How about that? Because I didn't ask for an advice, did I? So I make it easy for you. How about that? I just love when people that cannot contribute anything of value tell you how you need to do things. Once again, make a channel, send me a link, and I'll see how it's done. I'll learn from you. Okay? Hi, John. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay, I have a couple more minutes. Yeah, I can't answer this, Michael, now, but I will consider that. I can't wait to do my regular videos. I'm actually thinking I may have started doing videos when we talk about some other things as well, because I think it's important to have some more lighthearted topics as well. I don't know how, but I will think of something. I'm actually thinking about opening some more platforms too. Yeah, he is like a new czar because I told you guys, I remember him ever since I remember myself. Seriously. I don't ever remember that he was not the president of Russia. So he might as well to be the czar. It's he's obsessed with power. He's a maniac, and I also think, last point, that people's passion is really unexplainable for certain leaders. Some leaders, doesn't matter what they do, they're gonna be raving fans. Let's think about Hitler again. If you have seen, I mean, his appearance had a big room for improvement. He really was not a good looking person in any stretch of imagination, but when he was giving his speeches, the crowd was going wild. The crowd, if you, I remember watching Hitler's speeches and how the people were just, he definitely knew hypnosis. He definitely knew, he had extreme gift of making people going wild. And so this would be also the answer why some people, regardless of the information, regardless of the facts, regardless of the tragedy, let's even leave the politics alone, but knowing that your brothers and sisters, your family, maybe your family members are in Ukraine right now getting bombed, getting hurt. But I believe, from my observation as well, uh, in case with Putin, he does have this, he has certain things about him that when he speaks, the way he addresses things, the way he expresses himself, for some people, for many, actually, for many people in Russia, it's almost like they getting on drugs. It's almost like he has many fanatics. And I think that even some of his fanatics, even if they would see the bombing of homes, apartments, in suffering of regular people, they probably will still justify that, because he does have this hypnotizing quality for many people. They just can't help themselves. So that is something, something that researchers, that's a material for a research, how he can possibly pull this off. but unfortunately it is the reality. So there is this group of Russian people, no matter of amount of evidence uh, of current events, they would not change their opinion. You know, just the same thing that happened in World War II. Yes. Yes, Jeff, I think you have something there too. Yes, he has been focusing in these past years. He has been uh, uh, centralizing and centralizing more and more power, and I think he has this maniacal obsession about being the king of the world. You know, the czar of the world, and he does. I see those maniacal things, maniacal characteristics, same as Stalin had. It's a whole. I actually read some research in my early years about Stalin, and it just chilled my blood because they have this maniacal paranoia about power and having more and more and more and more of it. That's the only thing they have passion for. I don't really think they even capable, people like this, I don't think they're capable of love. I don't think they even can love their family. I don't know. It's hard for me to say, but I don't think it's possible. He does look strong and he commands what he's saying respect, but really he commands fear. And a lot of people say, well, you know, Russians, wait, excuse me, Russians need a strong leader. Well, you know, strong and tyrannical are two different things. Oh, all right, guys, my next video, I'm probably gonna be doing something lighthearted. I would like to acknowledge all of my supporters, all of you guys who have been making a real difference and sharing, showing your efforts. I would like to talk about that. And I would like to thank you. And I would like to share some more things that we are doing. And maybe I should be posting, if you guys have any requests, I want to be posting more. Of course, while this is going on, we're going to be talking about it, but I'm thinking what other things we could be talking, because I think it's important to have a break sometimes as well. I'm really thinking about creating a new channel for something completely different, but I don't have enough of courage yet. So maybe we'll talk about it in my next video, in my next live. I have one idea that I wanted to do for a while, and I think it would be something very lighthearted, very feminine, very relaxing, because I feel like a lot of people have hard time sleeping right now. So I have that idea, but I need a little bit of it needs to be brewed some more. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining. I'm always glad to see you. Thank you. Yes. Well, this is not about what I need. I just was thinking that it would be nice to have a platform that does not, when we don't talk about world ending and just take our mind off, but also be something very soothing and relaxing. Some of you may know what it is because I talked about this before, but I don't know if I even if so it will have to take all of us to like a different state of mind, but some of you may even anyway, we'll talk about this next time. All right, Well, unfortunately, history did repeat itself right in front of our eyes. Oh gosh. Guys, thank you so much for commenting. I'm gonna take a look at your comments so maybe I can answer some of them in one of my upcoming videos. Thank you for your suggestions. Yeah. All right, guys. So we always go further than the time I planned, but that is okay. Hi, Jim. Yes, Putin is using the same tactics. They are starving people. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. And it's amazing how people would be in denial of the facts. You can have different tastes, different preferences, but when you deny the facts, when you know that this costs people's lives, and you pretend to believe in it, that cannot end well for nobody. And I think that more people will have to wake up. Some of them will believe to their last breath that it's all Western fault and it's somebody else. But I believe that the majority of people will open their eyes one day, and they will regret their entire existence for being on the wrong side and supporting the evil. One day they will have to wake up. It will happen. With that being said, my dear friends, I will see you very soon. And I hope you will have, despite of everything, I hope you will have a wonderful and peaceful day. Thank you.